Building digital products has historically followed a rigid industrial process. It starts with a wireframe, moves into the creation of colorful user interface blocks, and eventually settles into thousands of lines of functional code. This pipeline relies on a strict separation of labor. Product managers hold ideas, designers translate them into visuals, and engineers write the code. But requiring deep expertise in specialized software creates a financial barrier, stalling projects at the visual stage. For decades, the tech industry has accepted this friction as a necessity. We have been entirely dependent on specialized human execution to bridge the gap between human language and digital reality. In April 2026, Anthropic released Claude Design. The response from the financial sector was immediate. In secondary markets, Figma's valuation dropped 7%. Adobe, the long-standing incumbent, saw an immediate slip in its market valuation as the news spread. This panic wasn't triggered by a better tool for professionals. Claude Design specifically targets founders and marketers, users who want to bypass the traditional assembly line and create directly from their own ideas. The market is pricing in a future where technical design skill is no longer a gatekeeper. If an AI can reliably translate natural language into a finished product, the role of the specialized manual designer moves toward redundancy. The engine driving this shift is Claude Opus 4.7. Unlike its predecessors, this model was built specifically for high-resolution visual reasoning. It processes images at 2576 pixels, roughly 3.75 megapixels. This resolution allows the model to map microscopic code and UI details, such as one-pixel borders, with total accuracy. Anthropic also introduced a new mechanism called the X-high effort level. This setting forces the model to perform deeper, slower reasoning. It allows the AI to solve complex, multi-page layout conflicts on its own, untangling structural problems that previously required a human eye to fix. Claude Design is now performing the deep structural logic once reserved for senior human designers. It is making architectural decisions rather than just following simple instructions. The new workflow begins with Claude ingesting a company's GitHub CSS and brand identity. It learns the existing visual rules to ensure every output is consistent with the brand's history. Instead of manual drafting, the user interacts through a chat interface. Claude dynamically generates custom sliders to allow for precise adjustments to layout and spacing. A strategic partnership with Canva further separates the intelligence from the infrastructure. Anthropic provides the AI reasoning, while Canva acts as the final editing and hosting layer. This shift is part of a new philosophy Anthropic calls vibe design. It moves away from step-by-step control. Users instead create behavioral guides that nudge a live, emergent system in the desired direction. The act of designing has moved from plotting static points on a canvas to steering a live, automated current. Design executive Julie Zhuo argues that the era of specialized tech silos is ending. Roles are collapsing into a single, unified identity called the builder. In this environment, a two-person team can match the output of what was once a six-person squad. The economic value of a human worker is no longer tied to the execution of pixels or the mastery of software tools. Value is now defined by taste. Success depends on the strategic editorial judgment required to determine if the machine's output actually solves a human problem. However, this automation has a major flaw. It frequently fails to meet WCAG accessibility standards. An interface can look beautiful to the eye while remaining structurally invisible to a visually impaired user. The code underneath is often a scrambled mess of data paths. Humans are now required to build accessibility skills, strict instructional sets that supervise and correct the AI's structural mistakes. Designer Tobias van Schneiel warns that this frictionless ease brings its own risk. The web could soon be flooded with soulless, identical user interfaces, born from a paradox of choice where everything is too easy to create. Airbnb CEO Brian Chesky offers a final ultimatum for the profession. Designers must embrace these tools, or watch the world be designed without them. Ultimately, the future of digital creation lies in the human intuition and taste required to direct the machine.